The price of vanadium has recently risen to near record highs. It's been the subject of much discussion around the battery metal space, but it's also used in other areas, including the steel industry. John Meyer joins us now from SP Angel with some more perspective on this. What's been driving the price of vanadium? It's very close to the record highs that we saw back in 2005.
It's an extraordinary situation, and throughout my career as a mining analyst, I've never seen anything quite like this. What we've got is a problem with supply. The Chinese have said we're not going to process imported steels or vanadium-bearing slag. So the Russians and others who were sending that to China are going to have to figure out what to do with that slag production. So that's created a big problem in the marketplace. Then the Chinese have said we're not going to process stone coal, which has a certain amount of vanadium in it as well. Again, that's environmentally horrible. The Chinese may figure out how to clean the stone coal, but it's still low quality coal, so it's better to buy high quality coal, high quality iron ore from Australia, and that doesn't have vanadium in it generally. It might have very low quantities of vanadium, but really nothing compared to what they were using before. And then at the same time, demand is increasing. I mean, demand was generally increasing anyway, but the Chinese for a few years have been doing a lot of quench and temper steel, where they've been quenching the steel and tempering it to make it hard. But that only makes the steel hard at the surface. It's still a brittle steel, and it's not good in an earthquake environment, and really you don't want to be living in a block of flats with that sort of steel in the concrete. So the Chinese have come up with a better test. So quench and temper steel is out, and all the steel they're going to produce from now on, in theory, should have vanadium in it if it has to have any structural integrity. So there's grade 1 and grade 2 steel are out, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5 steels in China should be taking over, and that should lead to something like a 30,000 ton increase in demand. Now, you're only using very small amounts of vanadium in the steel, and it's very difficult to substitute that for any other metal. You could use a bit of niobium, but that's a very tight market in itself, and in fact, the niobium price has jumped as well. And I think there could be a problem here, because I can't see, or I say we can't see, where the vanadium is going to come from to supply the increase in Chinese demand, let alone the increase in demand around the rest of the world.
We've also used the subject of vanadium in our discussions about battery metals. This is a new and innovative way of using vanadium, isn't it, with batteries? And that's another part on the demand side, which is increasing, presumably.
Well, there's going to be a huge increase in battery energy storage for balancing all these wind farms and solar farms, because when the sun's not shining and the wind's not blowing, you're going to need to store that power somewhere. And we know that the utilities and grid suppliers are looking at this very closely. Elon Musk has got a huge battery going into Western Australia at the moment, and they are commissioning that now. And well done, Elon Musk. It's on budget and within time. So let's see how that does. But at the end of the day, this sort of battery should really be done with something like a vanadium redox battery, and that uses a lot of vanadium. And again, we can't see where all the vanadium is going to come from to supply those batteries. The Chinese are building a huge battery at Ronke in China, and there's another one planned, slightly smaller, by an American entrepreneur, Robert Friedland, who's looking to build a big vanadium redox battery and has been talking this story for a few years. And so, which will be great for helping longer term supply, shall we say, but we still don't see where the vanadium is going to come from in the next couple of years.
Let's switch to stocks to watch in this space. What do you point investors towards when looking at vanadium and opportunities to buy into this market and buy into the rise that we've seen for the vanadium price?
Well, there's not a great deal of choice out there. There's Evraz in Russia, if you want to buy a Russian stock, and in fact, they're pretty big in the vanadium space, and it's not just vanadium, it's steel. There's Largo in Brazil, and that's listed in Canada. That's a big stock. It's about 2.5 billion market cap. It's a good company. It has an exceptional vanadium mine in Brazil, and it's producing 10, moving up to 11,000 tons of vanadium a year. So it's a big primary producer, and its costs are very low. So that's nice for them. And then you've got Bushveld Minerals back in, which is listed on AIM in the UK, and is a primary producer based in South Africa. Now, Bushveld had a few issues. We're just waiting for the quarterlies to come out. So I don't think their production is going to be great for the third quarter. But the fact is they are one of few vanadium producers in the market. And I think the market will probably look through any issues that they've got with the Q3 production and really buy it up for the full year and next year's production going forwards.
One final comment. Where do you see this market going? Is there any one direction, do you think, for vanadium in the current environment?
Well, you know, when you look at a chart like this with the vanadium price and it's going straight up, you think, well, not much goes straight up like that for very long. But it's very hard to see, you know, are there any stockpiles of vanadium in the world? We're not aware of it. We were looking at the US Defense Logistics Agency to see if they had stockpiles of vanadium. We couldn't see any there. Does the European Union have stockpiles of vanadium? We're not aware of it. Or even the Chinese. They normally have a stockpile of something here or there. We don't see that either. There may well be some clever investors that have got a bit of vanadium, but this is very much an industrial market. You don't get speculation in this kind of market. Suppliers generally don't sell metal into private hands. It goes from the miner or the producer directly to the consumer. So we don't think there's much of a buffer stock here, and that means that with this increase in demand, it's very hard to see what's going to stop the price from moving forwards.
Okay, all right, John, I have to leave it there, but thanks for joining us. John Meyer, partner and founder at SP Angel, also mining analyst with the company, with more perspective on this rise and rise again for vanadium and some of the stocks to watch around the space.